everybody, and welcome to stage 4 video on time signatures. So I'm in my front room today because we've got builders in the back and people working from home, so I'm afraid this is a bit ad hoc today, but hopefully you can still see the board when I move, and we'll just ignore the craziness in the background. Okay, so let's do the welcome song to warm up with. We're going to do it 3 ways to start off with, and you'll get the idea while we're doing that as we come through it first off. So we're going to start with our usual tar pulse. Remember, pulse is our steady beat. So we're going to do the crossing over one. So tar, 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 tar. Welcome everybody, it's time for us to sing. Welcome everybody, it's time for us to sing. 10 bounces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's time for us to sing. Okay, straight into that, we're going to do a TT one, okay, or quaver pulse. So we can do patting like this, or we could do patting on our shoulders. You could have a go at doing whatever you like. I'm going to do, I'm going to keep a fast one going between my knees and my hands. So T, 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 off we go. Welcome everybody, it's time for us to sing. Welcome everybody, it's time for us to sing. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. It's time for us to sing. So the speed of the song that we're singing is exactly the same, but the beat that we're using is a faster beat. So we're using a quaver beat then, or a TT beat. Okay, so now we're going to use a minim beat or a 2-woo beat. So we're going to have probably a bigger action for this one. So we could go 2-woo, 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 2-woo. Welcome everybody, it's time for us to sing. Welcome everybody, it's time for us to sing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's time for us to sing. So got a little bit put off by that because every action takes 2 beats, and when we're doing the counting you have to hold on to your action and make sure that it lasts for 2 beats. So again, the speed of the song was the same, but the beat that we were using was a slower beat, so it slightly changes the feel of the music. So that is a big part of what today's lesson is about in time signatures. Okay, so here is our rhythm tree, and we're just going to remind ourselves of how it sounds. So remember, we're going to use the notes of a D major arpeggio. D, F sharp, A, and top D. Now if you can't play all of those notes yet, that's fine, you can stick to an open D. I'm going to do the arpeggio, so even if you play an open D or a low D on the recorder or a high D on the recorder, it should sound good. So on the recorder, our low D is all of our fingers. F sharp, A, and E, the thumb comes off, and you have just your second finger down. Okay, and string players, open D. For cellos, it's open D, 3 fingers for the F sharp, open A, and 4 fingers for the top D. And violins, we have open D, 2nd finger on the D string, open A, and top D, 3rd finger. And just make sure you tune that octave. Okay, so making sure recorders, you do tonguing. We're going to do nice long bows, and I'll count us in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, So you're going to start with the long note on your top D. 2, 3, 4, A, F sharp, D. Okay. So if you struggled with the speed of that, you can just pause the video, go back and have a little practice to make sure you can click in with what I'm doing. Okay, so rhythm tree. By now we should be becoming a bit more familiar with the names of these notes. So we have a semi-breve, a minim, a crotchet, and some quavers. If you find those a bit tricky, make sure you go back to the page on that and see if you can remind yourselves, because those are the names we use in Britain, so you really need to be quite quick as a click with those ones. Okay, but the thing that we're interested in this time is actually some codes. So here's a code number. Now, in a time signature, we have two numbers. It looks a bit like a fraction if you've done those in school. So you'll have one number at the top and one number underneath. Now, to start off with, what we're interested in is the number underneath, okay? And there's a special code using our rhythm tree to help us understand what that number underneath means. So, we're looking not at how many beats each of these notes last, we've done that already. It's how many heads of the note, how many blobs we have in each level. So, for our semi-breve level, we have one blob in our rhythm tree. On the minim level, we have 2 blobs, so the code number for a minim is 2. On the crotchet level, we have 4 blobs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Instead of blobs, they're actually called heads of notes, but you get the meaning, okay? So the code number for a crotchet or a tar is 4. And lastly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For the quaver level, we have 8 blobs or 8 heads of notes, okay? These are the code numbers that go in this bottom box, okay? Now, what that bottom box does is tells us what kind of pulse we're going to use. So at the start, we had a crotchet pulse, a quaver pulse, and a minim pulse. Tars, TTs, 2 woos, okay? That box there is what tells us what we're counting in. So if we see a 2 at the bottom, it means we're going to be counting in 2 woos. 2 woo, 2 woo, minims, 2 woo, 2 woo. If you see a 4 in that bottom box, look for your code numbers, that then tells us that we're going to be counting in tars or crotchets. Tar, 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 tar. That's our pulse. It's a crotchet pulse. If you see an 8 on the bottom, it means we've got a fast pulse. T, 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 T. So it tells us what type of beat we are counting in, okay? And the way to work out what those numbers represent is by drawing this rhythm tree, counting up the numbers. This gives you your secret code number, and then you can look in the box. Now, a much more sensible way of writing a time signature would be to have the 2 boxes, and in the bottom, instead of writing a 4, you could write a crotchet. Just draw what it is that you want people to be beating in, okay? And so another way of thinking of these time signatures is like this. So you've got top box, bottom box. We'll talk about the top box in a second. And if you have 2, there were 2 heads on that level, so we're counting in minims. And the last one here. If we see an 8, it's the bottom row of our rhythm tree and we're counting in quavers. Okay, so just to reinforce that feeling of 3 different types of pulses, you can have different numbers at the bottom. You can have a 1 if you were counting in semi-breves, but that doesn't happen very often. You could have a 16 if you were counting in semi-quavers, but that doesn't happen very often. And even at this stage, you're not going to see anything other than a 4 at the bottom for quite a while. But I want you to understand the logic now. So let's do something practical. If you get your instrument, we're going to sing the welcome song again. Recorders, you're just going to have to play along. Okay, string players, you can sing and play. And instead of putting the beats on our bodies, we're going to put them on our instruments. So you can pick a D or an A, and we're going to have a go at doing a crotchet pulse, a quaver pulse, and a minim pulse, just to get to feel for how these time signatures work. Okay, so find a D or an A, and we're going to do 4 beats in, and we're going to keep our tar pulse going. So ta, 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 ta. Welcome everybody, it's time for us to sing. Welcome everybody, it's time for us to sing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's time for us to sing. So that was our tar pulse. Now we're going to keep a TT pulse going. Are you ready? T, 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 T. Off we go. Welcome everybody. It's time for us to sing. Welcome everybody. It's time for us to sing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's time for us to sing. Okay? And last, we're going to do a minim pulse. So we're going to pretend that our time signature has a 2 at the bottom, which codes for a minim. Okay, are we ready? Off we go. 2, 2. Welcome everybody, it's time for us to sing. Welcome everybody, it's time for us to sing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's time for us to sing. Okay, so we have hopefully covered what the bottom box of your time signature means. You will only see 4s at the moment, but sometimes over the next year you'll probably see an 8 at the bottom, and sometimes you'll see a 2 at the bottom, and now you understand that that is a code. 4 is for a crotchet, 2 is for a minim, 8 is for a quaver. So it tells you what you're counting in. Right. The next bit we're moving on to, now we know what pulse we're doing, is the top box. So we've agreed that we're mainly dealing with 4 on the bottom. Now the time signatures that you're most likely to come across are these. So you have 2, 4, which means you have 2 crotchet beats in a bar, or 2 tars in a bar. 3, 4, which means you have 3 crotchet beats in every bar. And 4, 4, which means you have 4 crotchet beats in every bar. Now, that doesn't mean they just have to be crotchets or tars. They can be any rhythm as long as the length of that rhythm takes up that amount of time in a bar. So hopefully that will become clear as we go. Now, these time signatures, whether it's in 2 time, 3 time or 4 time, has a grown-up musical word called meter. Now, it's not a length of meter that you measure, it's a musical meter. Okay, and we get a feeling for that when we're clapping a pulse. Okay, so the pieces that we've done so far this term, we've got Dippy Doo and we've got John Kanaka. Okay, and they actually show all 3 of these meters. So let's start from the 2/4, okay? So a 2/4 meter, you can pat like this. It goes pa, 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 pa. Dip, 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 dippy doo, dippy doo, oh dippy doo. Dip, 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 dippy doo, dippy doo, oh dippy doo. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, 2 beats in a bar, 2 crotchet beats in a bar. Okay, so we're working, the pulse is a tar, but it's where the emphasis goes. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, now let's have a go at 3/4. So now we have 3 crotchet beats in a bar. Boom, chick, chick. 1, 2, 3. It's much more flowy feel, like a dance or a waltz. So good day to you. Good day, dip dippy doo. Good day to you. Good day, dip dippy doo. So it's 1, 2, 3, boom, chick, chick, boom, chick, chick. And if you're listening to lots of different pieces of music around the house, try and work out what the time signature is, what the meter is. Try putting boom, pa, pa. Does that fit with it? Or does this fit with it? 1, 2. And you'll find that your body naturally fits with the beat in these patterns, and you can help decide whether it's in 3-time or 2-time. Now, the 4-time one has the emphasis on the one, so it goes fee, fi, fo, fum. Fee, fi, fo, fum. Fee, fi, fo, fum. Fee, fi, fo. So 1 is the strongest. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's see if we can keep this going, and we'll sing John Kanaka. So it goes. I heard the old man say, John Kanaka naka tuaye. Today is a holiday. John Kanaka naka tuaye. Tuaye. John Kanaka naka tuaye. Okay, so that gives you the clapping patterns that shows in your body what the meters are. Now let's have a go at putting them onto our instruments. So you'll notice that I always gave a bit of an emphasis on the 1. So can you get a piece of paper, just a piece of plain paper and a pencil, because I'd like you to actually do the writing down of the rhythms with me, and pause and stop and go back as we go, and then we'll put them onto our instruments. So pause video, go and get a pen and a paper, and then come back. Right, so let's do a bit of composition, making up our own rhythms. So I'm going to write 1 line here. Okay. And I'm not going to put any pictures, I'm just going to draw the rhythm notes onto this line, and then we will put the different time signatures onto that rhythm. Alright, so my rhythm's going to have a 2-woo, a minim, then I'm going to have a tar, or a crotchet, then I'm going to have TT, 2 quavers, then another 2 quavers, a tar, a 2-woo, and then a tar, tar, and another 2-woo. Okay, now notice how I haven't spaced it out perfectly, but I've left a little gap after the 2-woo to show that it lasts for 2 beats. 1 beat, these 2 together last for 1 beat, these 2 together last for 1 beat, another beat, 2 beats, 1 beat, 1 beat, 2 beats. Now the end of our piece of music is going to have a double bar line, okay? And then I'm going to give this a time signature. We're going to count in crotchet beats, so I'm putting a 4 at the bottom, and then I'm going to do 4 crotchet beats in a bar. So that means I have to put some bar lines in. So I'm going to use a different colour for this. You can use the same colour, it doesn't matter. You might have to write this out, this rhythm out, probably 3 separate times, okay? So you do this on your paper like this, okay? And then make sure, so either you can turn it over or underneath you can draw the other 2 lines, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4. My bar line goes in there. So I've got 4 beats in this bar, in this little box, okay? Then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I put my line here, and then I check my last bar, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when we did our clapping of our pattern, fee, fi, fo, fum, fee, fi, fo, fum. The first beat of the bar is a strong beat, okay? And the third beat of the bar is a sort of still stronger, so it goes strong, sort of strong, super strong, sort of strong, and that gives us a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So when we're playing our instruments, we can show that we can show the time signature, and that's part of being a musician, is being able to communicate what the composer, in that case us, because we're writing this piece of music, wanted. So let's have a go at clapping this rhythm using our rhythm names. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 woo, ta, ti 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 ta, 2 woo, ta ta, 2 woo. See, I'm making a big deal of the notes that come on the one, and if you're making a big deal of something, you can have this little sign here. It's called an accent, and it means that we sort of give a little bit of extra air, a bit of extra tongue, or a bit of extra oomph with the bow. Let's have another go at clapping and saying the rhythm names. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 woo, ta, ti 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 ta, 2 woo, ta ta, 2 woo. Right, let's put it onto our instruments. So this time I'm going to have a go on the recorder. I'm going to use an A. You can use a D or an A or any of the notes from a D major arpeggios. Remember we had a D, F sharp, A, or top D. Okay, so 1, so get your instrument, choose which note of that arpeggio you're going to play. Okay, take a nice deep breath and see if you can put a little bit of accent on the first beat of the bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, right, so we're going to keep the rhythm exactly the same. So you won't rub this out, you'll do this underneath, but I won't have enough room on my board. So I'm going to take the numbers away at the bottom. I'm going to take the bar lines away, and I'm going to take the accents away. But the rhythm itself, it stays exactly the same. I'm now going to turn this into a 3/4 rhythm. Okay, so pause the video, draw another line, write out your rhythm again, exactly the same rhythm values, okay? And this time, we're going to turn it into 3/4. Okay, so when you're ready, we'll start putting the bar lines in. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 crotchet beats. 1, because a TT together, 2 quavers, is a crotchet beat. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and then the last 1, 2, 3. And then underneath we write where the beats are. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this is a boom chick chick boom chick chick pattern, and if we put it's the same emphasis. 1 has the big emphasis and the other 2 are lighter, so you feel that with the how we do it on the body. Boom chick chick, heavy light light, heavy light light, and that's what gives 3 4 this sort of swingy feel. So we're going to put a little accent on the number 1 note. Notice how these becomes different notes this time. And this is how we're going to make exactly the same rhythm values sound totally different, because we've given it a different meter. So let's count ourselves in. Boom, chick, chick, 1, 2, 3. 2, woo, ta, ti, 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 ta. 2, woo, ta, ta, 2, woo. Do you see, it feels totally different because we changed the meter. Let's have another go. Boom, chick, chick, 1, 2, 3. 2, woo, ta, ti, 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 ta. 2, woo, ta, ta, 2, woo. Okay, now let's, I'm going to do this on my string instrument this time. Again, you can mix up the notes of a D major arpeggio, so I'm going to just do it on a D. But you can choose any notes from a D major arpeggio and you can change them. So you could go, you could use a different note for each beat and repeat it as many times as you want, going more complicated. But I'm just going to keep it on an open D for the moment to make sure I get the meter exactly right. So let's count ourselves in, and remember to do a little, for the violin and the cello, to get a little emphasis, you just go slightly faster or a little bit heavier into the string to get this little accent. So 1, boom, chick, chick, 1, 2, 3. 2, ta, ti, 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 ta, 2. Should we have another go? 1, 2, 3. 2, ta, ti, 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 ta, 2, ta, ta, 2. And if I really wanted to get those accents, I might change some of my bowing so that I ended up on a down bow on the first beat of each bar for the string playing. But that is something that evolves as you get a little bit further on. Okay, so last one is we're going to now change this into a 2/4. Again, keeping exactly the same rhythms. Okay, have another go at writing it out on a line. Here we go. Pause the video, and when you're ready, come back and we're going to draw the bar lines in. So here we have a 2/4 line, and we need to put the bar lines in. So 1, 2, bar line goes here. 1, 2, crotchet beats, the bar line goes here. 1, 2, crotchet beats. 1, 2, crotchet beats. 1, 2, crotchet beats, and 1, 2. And then underneath we write in 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Oops, 2. And again, the first beat of every bar has a little emphasis of pa, pa, pa. So this is how 4 in a bar and 2 in a bar can sound almost exactly the same, because it's got that sort of marching feel to it. So as a musician, the way that you create something feeling more 2/4, 2 beats in a bar rather than 4 beats in a bar, you could do Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. 4 beats in a bar. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Now we could change it to 2/4. So twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Okay, so it's sort of where you put the little accents helps show what meter it's in. So we're going to have lots more accents here. 2/4 tends to feel a bit more choppy and sort of energetic, and 4/4 feels a little bit more broad. Okay, so let's have a go at clapping this rhythm with these accents we've got here. So pa, 1, 2, 2, ta, ti, 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 ta, 2, ta, ta, 2. Have another go. I'll give you 2 bars in. So pa, 1, 2, 2, ta, ti, 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 ta, 2, ta, ta, 2. Again, choose a note from the D major scale. You can use different notes for every single note that's on here. Okay, I'm going to go to the recorder and I'm going to do an F sharp this time. Okay, and I'm going to do the accent to show that it's in 2/4. So 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm going to swap to my violin and let's have a go. 2 bars in. So 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so same rhythm values, 3 different ways, 3 different meters. So just to recap what we've learned today, time signatures have 2 numbers. The bottom number tells you what type of beat you're using. Are you using a tar pulse? Are you using a TT pulse? Or are you using a 2-woo pulse? Okay, so it's the actual beats that you're counting in each bar. Are they fast, medium, or slow beats? Okay, and that has a code number that you can work out using your rhythm tree. We then knew that most of the time signatures we see have got a 4 on the bottom, so we know that we're counting in tars most of the time, okay, crotchets. We then looked at meter. Now meter is how many beats does each bar feel like it's got, even if they're fast, medium or slow, how many beats are there in the bar. So we are looking at crotchet beats. We looked at 4 crotchet beats in a bar, 3 crotchet beats in a bar, and 2 crotchet beats in the bar. And the main thing to remember when you're playing, look at the time signature and try and emphasize the first beat of each bar to show the meter within the big phrase that you're trying to do. You don't want to sound like a robot, but it's something to be curious about when you're playing pieces of music. Look at the time signature and think, how does this affect how I'm going to play it? And what is it that the composer is wanting me to do with my instrument to make this music come alive, and the symbols that are on the page. Okay, so have a go at the time signature. So in your theory book, have a go at the time signatures page, and please get in touch with me if you don't have this book. I think I've got some spare copies hanging around, so I'm hoping that everybody has been given one, and we will find a way of getting it to you if not. All right, have fun and see you soon.